Hello and welcome, as it is the, now it's the 20th day of February 2018. Welcome, my name is Derek. Everything you do is within your own risk and your own reward. As we look at the price of Bitcoin, no we're not, we're looking at the price of Litecoin on the 4-hour time frame. I got my watch list on here. We'll take a look at a couple quick other ones before getting into the Litecoin analysis, although I'll quickly go over this now. Resistance, it's broken past 235 after this sideways consolidation that occurred through February the 14th, lasting about 6 days. Okay, we'll see how well this thing goes off. I can sort this by percentage change and see that ZCL is down quite a bit right now. That's the 4-hour time frame. Monetary unit, it's down decently. Edgeless is down. Voxels is down. These are doing the worst. UBQ, it's down. You know, that doesn't bother me. In fact, I often look for those types of things. Cloak is up. It's up right now. The second best one, that's Litecoin against the dollar. Oh, do I feel bad about selling some here at this line earlier today? No, not even maybe. You know, this is a stressful game, and in the sense of just different things that, like the whole Litecoin Cash. I didn't get into Litecoin to get the free coins because I never even knew they existed when I really wanted to go big into them. Will I get the bonus? I'm going to try to. I think I will. Although my Litecoin on my Trezor wallet are on the SegWit, I gotta figure one way or another I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna work towards doing such. But throwing that part aside, there's a lot of situations where I see my portfolio losing, like these down moves on some of my altcoins, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yet I'll have situations where I'm trying to get profitable plays through and exchanges are running very slow and I'm making a lot of profit with my plays, and I'm going to be frustrated and stressed out because the exchanges aren't working like I want them to. Yet the markets are. So it's an interesting aspect because as far as price movements are concerned, I'm very much used to having losses and gains coming along that I know in the long-term time frame that this is just going to work out very well. All right then. So Litecoin is having its moment right now. Let me just make it so you can see the screen a bit bigger. There we have it. So with the 4-hour time frame breaking through within this resistance level field on the daily term. Okay, so we have 365 high, and we have a low in at about 107. Let's do some Fibonacci and see what we come up with for some results. Upside target is about 779, so we can make that over 800. As far as the key levels, it's breaking out from 228. On the 61.8 level. The 171 mark obviously was big resistance the first time. So 109 and 365, just verify my numbers. Yeah, 107, okay. 273 is where I would expect maybe a short-term level where we may encounter a mark for resistance on this point, but even then, when these markets go, they can often go. When this thing broke out past this level of resistance at 170, it just went. And now this just broke past this level of resistance at around 235, and well, it's only about 3% above it right now. So it's to say that it's already went from this point, not even close, not even maybe. And then you get to the point of, okay, so you get to the first Fibonacci level of around 270 change. Maybe we'll find resistance. Maybe the resistance will be small, where it only goes, well, does what it did last time, where maybe we'll go up to like 230, then fall back to 212. And oh, how about a 7 or 9% reduction? Yay, that's like nothing in this business. And then you have a move up to previous high at about 375. I don't know if that's going to be resistance or not, because when these things go, they go. I could have said in here that, oh, expect to have a decent amount of resistance at 100. And here, there was a little bit, not much. And even in previous days, you come back and say last year, oh, we're up to $9 and change. We're going to get resistance here. Okay. Oh, we're at all-time highs at $20. It's got to stop going down. Okay. And therefore, when these things go, you got to give the benefit of the doubt towards the buyers. Then we look at the cross against Bitcoin. I'll look at the Poloniex chart because I got a whole bunch of lines drawn on the Bittrex one for short-term analysis. So we'll get to the short-term analysis in a little while. But this level of resistance at around, well, 2 even, has got the breakout above it. Not that big of one, that's fine. And enough of a one, however, where you can noticeably see how it's getting past this point. But you can also have enough of a move that can bring it back to the 18 and the previous key level. So lifting off from there, markets are doing what they normally do. Just going back to where they come from, coming back to the correctionary phase. This is the 18 average. So many ways of using this in technical analysis. This is where the battlegrounds are being battled, basically, between the bears and the bulls. Whoever gets out of there is the one that gets out of there alive. And oftentimes it'll work out this way, where if you have this move in here and price action starts to rise higher, well, that's telling you that the bulls won that battle. And you can expect decent gains to follow through. So if you see price action up to like 220, 222, then why should we not see it? I mean, 250 would be a joke of a move. You expect it to even break that. And then, of course, in time, if the bears win this battle, that means that this band would start to flatten out. They'd bring it down, and well, then they'd have to justify how they'll play after that. For example, in this little field in here, the bears won by bringing it down here, but that's all they could do was bring it back down to the 14 mark in January of this year. Taking a look at this on a 3-day chart. The major level of resistance, multiple times hit. I've talked about this over and over again and how it's been supporting it. 18 average is rising nicely. And in technical analysis, if you have an amazing move from a down thrust like in here, go up, have a successful correction through time, which was the case, have your small rally talked about before on the short term, just a little bit above and a little bit back. And after that little bit back, if it starts to go through again, then you really want to give a lot of benefit of the doubt to the buyers that there's going to be tremendous gains that can follow thereafter that. And on the weekly chart, because it has had this resistance back to the 18, it's already been lifting off for a decent amount of time. Of course, within this line, we can see the shorter term correction we already know about. So getting up above here brings it to the key levels. We're going to get next to the next key resistance. Fibonacci says 30, but you expect to pierce above. And piercing above, you'd have to think, is at least 34, 35. It could even, I could say it could be more, but I said that when I said at least. And then you got a little bit of move up closer to the 40 when we look at this mark in here. It's also a decent size, noticeable leg higher. That's another thing when you're looking at the moves. You have this little high. And even if you just match a size like this, you can even think that going to the 0.04 and a bit above could even be a conservative level for where the market's going to go when it breaks out past this line. Now let's look at this shorter term, and I'm using the Bittrex numbers now. What do we see here for volume? Yep. A lot of times big volume can be indicative of markets on turning points, sort of like we've seen in here with the bigger volume, and then everything starts to sell off on smaller volume. Oh, you'll hear a lot of people talking about the sell-offs that occur on lower volume like this. And generally speaking, more times than not, it's bullish. But this could oftentimes be the indication on a reversal of trend, or that the lows are in. And when I say that the lows are in, when you look at a market at this time, that means after coming down here, it's had this good move. Maybe when I say that, it could come down here or maybe in there. But the likelihood that the higher low would come in would be very, very high. And I really don't know what the next move is going to be, whether it's going to retrace from this short-term high in this low, or if it's going to continue accelerating towards the upside. Switch the time frame just to the 2 hours, just because I was playing around with it, it'd be easiest for you to see. Let's take a look at Fibonacci. We have a high at 25116. And I'll enter that into my Fibonacci program, and then we'll get the low for this market, which is in at 19175. Key numbers. Fibonacci upside target coinciding with the other one at the 31, and the other one is from the the bigger highs and lows from the last few months. Key numbers 212, we're already there, and 226. 226 coincides with this one. So there we have it. It's come up to the first level. And when you're supposed to find resistance here, well then let's just see if it has. 5-minute time frame. We've already found a little bit, of course. But one way of looking at this, as the market was rallying higher, it was very overextended on this time frame at 2330. When it got up to 210.03279. It isn't overextended now at 210.03279 because it's had a little bit of a correction. Now it's a little bit overextended because there's a large amount of gap fill. We could be talking about retracing 38.2 or 61.8% to the downside. We could be talking about this being a failed breakout. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a very successful breakout. And if you don't know, if you don't really care too much about short-term fluctuations, one easy way is just you buy here. If it goes down lower, it goes down lower. But you're expecting that it's going to go significantly higher, that you'll just laugh it off and watch it go lower if it does, and then it's going to go higher eventually. And if it keeps going higher from here, well, that's just going to happen quicker then, as you try to get, of course, towards those key levels. And then if you're playing this on the short term, trying to play, as I talk about within the 18 average, just using a quick example of this before, of how one would be trading it. You buy all the way, these are your buy zones. This is back to February the 7th. You buy in here, and then you sell a little bit here. One buy opportunity in here, maybe 1 to 2 sell opportunities up here as we enter the 9th. Buy opportunity, probably don't sell here. But you're going to have another buy opportunity when you make another low breaking key support. So you buy it like a 182 handle. You don't want to buy at 182 again unless you can sell off. But you can buy down here at 180. And you're playing based on the time frame, of course. Well below the 18, making new lows, you buy. And then you go up here and you sell above here, maybe buy it back. Because if you can buy anything above the 18 or sell anything above the 18 highs like this, if you see anything like this where it's grinding down here at some point below the 18 lows, it should be an easy spot to buy. And there we had that big rally. You also, when you're playing the strategy, is want to set it up so that no matter how big the rally gets, you're not going to sell out. And when I mean sell out, I mean literally, you're not going to sell out of the tokens you have. So you'd have nothing but selling in here. If you sold this top, maybe you could have bought down here. You'd have another selling round in here, and it's very difficult to be getting these buys. That's why oftentimes when these markets go, you just have to be patient sometimes to get your buybacks. And in this case, patience was the virtue. Because it's hard to buy back when the price action barely even makes it to the 18 lows. And the only time I even want to buy in this is if it's like, well, if I sell well above, which is easy to do. You sell at 230 and you can easily buy it back at 215. But you sell around up here to the top. And now, as the price action goes down below here, this is a whole bunch of spot for buying. A little bit of selling in here. Buying it back down here. But what you bought back here, you haven't been able to sell. So then the market goes down a bit more. If you bought here at some point during this grind, you're like, man, I last bought it, say, 208. Now it's down to 205. Or it's just decently below where it was before within the chart. Then you buy. And of course, again, playing the 45-minute time frame, you're playing short-term numbers. Down in here, you buy a bit more, and well, all of a sudden, it's just gotten above the 18, so you just sell some here. If I sold some now, I'm not buying this back until it gets down the 18 lows. No way, no how. I'll be looking to sell more on the way higher, of course. And you're just playing the strategy within it. But if you're playing the strategy, say, on a time frame like the 4-hour time frame, or even just better yet, the daily, whatever you sold up here, this is how hard the buybacks can be. If you got back in here, and you should have, congratulations. Because that meant, say you sold here at 187. You didn't buy back because it didn't go to the 18 lows. Okay, so be it. And then you sold again up here, say at 220. Actually, even like 230, whatever. 220, 230. Well, as it's going back to 200, you know what? Just, especially in a bull run, nothing wrong with taking the buys. And if you buy here at 230, or 200 rather, then that means your next play is selling if it goes back up to the 248. Or if it doesn't, you can buy again, because you would have sold up in here a long time ago at 185. If this thing falls down to, say, 165, well, then you can buy that back. So those are just different examples. Now I'm going to finish this off by talking about the WebBot. Because as this whole year was going on, not much was stated. Now and again, a couple of times I would brief in and state, yeah, don't be surprised if things really don't pick up until the middle of February. And this rally begun on what day? February 14th. February 14th, this rally begun. The middle of February. And as I've been watching the JSNIP4 channel and even reading bits and pieces of the WebBot, it did seem as if the party is going to really get going near the very end of this month. And this is the party that could last for quite a while. Talk more about that as we head into the end of the month, into March. But as reported on the JSNIP4 channel, it seems as if like every single day to end the week, end the month rather, the final week of the month, is going to be like every day is, oh my goodness, it did it again. And if that's the case, that final week, that starts around tomorrow or the next day, however you want to look at it. We're pretty much 1 week to go until the end of this month. So times will be interesting, to say the least. Thank you for tuning in to what turned out to be a very, very long video. And I'll catch up with you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.